I stood at the gate holding a small wrapped box, my hands trembling slightly in the evening air. It was my father-in-law's birthday, and I'd saved for weeks to buy him something meaningful. Before I could ring the bell, my brother-in-law Vernon appeared, his expensive watch catching the porch light. He snatched the gift from my hands, turned it over twice, then laughed so loud the neighbors' curtains moved. This is what a broke man brings to my father's house." His voice carried across the quiet street like a slap. "My dogs eat things more expensive than whatever's in here." I felt my face burn as he dangled my gift like trash. Vernon popped open the trunk of his brand new SUV, the one he'd been bragging about all month. He tossed my gift inside with actual garbage bags. "That's where it belongs," he said, brushing his hands together. I looked up at the house and saw my wife Claire standing on the balcony, phone in hand, watching everything. Our eyes met for just a second. She turned away without a word, without a gesture, without anything that said she saw what her brother just did to me. That silence cut deeper than Vernon's mockery. The gift sat there among the trash as he walked past me into the house, leaving me standing alone in the driveway. The drive home felt endless. Claire sat in the passenger seat, her face turned toward the window, fingers moving rapidly across her phone screen. I tried to speak twice, but the words died in my throat. At a red light, I glanced over and saw her typing. "I'm tired of covering for him." My stomach dropped. She hit send before I could look away. When we pulled into our apartment parking lot, she finally spoke. "Vernon's been telling everyone you're useless. The whole family knows your financial baggage." Her voice wasn't angry. It was worse. It was tired, like she'd been carrying a secret she was relieved to finally share. 2 weeks later, we gathered for Sunday dinner at her parents' house. Vernon held court at the head of the table, telling stories about his latest business deals while everyone listened like he was delivering scripture. Then he turned to me, fork pointing like a weapon. "You know what separates successful men from struggling ones, Hollies?" He didn't wait for an answer. "Vision, drive, the ability to provide." My mother-in-law nodded along, her eyes drifting between Vernon and me with obvious comparison. Vernon kept going, his voice filling every corner of the room. "I'm taking the whole family to Hawaii next month, everyone except—" He paused, grinning. "Well, you understand, limited budget." The table went quiet. Claire studied her plate. That night I couldn't sleep. I opened my laptop to check our bank balance and noticed something strange in the login history. Someone had accessed the account from a different device 3 days ago. My hands went cold. I checked Claire's phone while she showered. The messages were all there, screenshots of our bank statements sent to Vernon with laughing emojis. He'd been sharing them in the family group chat, highlighting every low balance, every tight month. Underneath one screenshot, Vernon had written, "This is what marrying down looks like." 12 people had reacted with laughing faces. I closed the phone carefully, my hand surprisingly steady. Claire confronted me the next morning over coffee that had gone cold. "My family thinks I married down," she said, stirring nothing in her empty cup. "And honestly, Hollies, I'm starting to think they're right." The words landed like stones. She gave me 3 months to become what she called financially useful or move out. After she left for work, I sat in the silence of our apartment, feeling something crack open inside me. Then I remembered the storage unit. Years ago, I developed a blueprint for a logistics software system, something I'd abandoned when life got complicated. I drove across town and found the box buried under old furniture, dust covering everything like forgotten time. My childhood friend Wesley ran a tech investment firm downtown. I showed him the blueprint in a coffee shop that smelled like burnt espresso and desperation. He studied it for 20 minutes without speaking, occasionally nodding, sometimes drawing small notes in the margins. Finally, he looked up. "This could change supply chain management completely," he said quietly. "I want in. But Hollies, you need to cut out anyone who's poisoning your confidence. This requires focus you can't have with people tearing you down." I thought of Vernon, of Claire's silence, of the gift in the trash. "I can do that," I said. For the first time in months, I meant something I said. I worked in secret, turning our spare bedroom into an office after Claire went asleep. Long nights bled into early mornings, code and calculations replacing rest. Claire noticed the light under the door. "You think you can ever reach Vernon's level?" she asked one night, laughing softly. "Don't embarrass yourself." But something had shifted in me. Her words didn't land anymore. Then Vernon heard rumors about my project. Within days, he'd told the entire family I was running a scam, trying to trick investors. My phone buzzed with concerned messages from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. For 48 hours, I nearly quit. Then Wesley called with news that changed everything. The overseas investors loved the prototype. They wanted in immediately, offering funding that made my hands shake when I saw the numbers. But the non-disclosure agreement was absolute. I couldn't tell anyone, not even Claire. So to my family, I was still failing, still the broke brother-in-law who brought cheap gifts. Vernon told people at a barbecue, "Watch, he'll come begging me for money before summer ends." He was so confident, so loud, so certain. 3 weeks later, Claire's family staged what they called an intervention. We sat in her parents' living room while Vernon paced like a prosecutor. "Success is my bloodline," he declared. "Failure is his." Claire looked at me with something like pity and said the words I'd been expecting. "I want a divorce." My phone buzzed in my pocket. The final funding round. 7 figures, confirmed. 6 months passed like a fever breaking. I moved out quietly, taking only what was mine, leaving the apartment we'd shared and the marriage that had hollowed me out. The company launched. Media coverage followed, business journals, local news, tech podcasts. My face appeared in places I'd never imagined, talking about innovation and perseverance. I didn't mention my family. I didn't mention Vernon. Meanwhile, his world cracked. Creditors started calling. Repossession notices appeared on his door. His entire lifestyle had been built on loans and borrowed time. A house of cards he'd convinced everyone was a mansion. When it collapsed completely. One Tuesday morning, my assistant told me someone named Vernon was in the lobby, refusing to leave. Security held him at the entrance, this man who'd once thrown my gift in the trash now standing in my building asking for help. I almost said no, almost told them to escort him out, but something made me curious. I went down. He looked smaller somehow, shoulders bent under invisible weight, expensive clothes now wrinkled and out of place. "Hollies," he said, and his voice cracked on my name. "I made mistakes. I was wrong about you, but family helps family, right? You understand that?" I stared at him, remembering every insult, every mockery, every moment he'd made me feel worthless. The lobby was quiet except for the hum of the air conditioning and the soft tap of someone typing at the front desk. Vernon kept talking, words spilling out in desperate streams about circumstances and bad luck and people who betrayed him. He never once said he was sorry for what he'd done to me. He just wanted rescue, expected it even now, as if humiliating someone for years earned him a lifeline when his own world burned. I let him finish. Then I spoke, my voice calmer than I'd ever heard it. "You used your wealth to destroy people, Vernon. I used my pain to build something real." He started to respond, but I was already walking away, my footsteps echoing across marble floors. Security escorted him out. I didn't watch. I returned to my office where real work waited, where people respected effort over arrogance. His silence as I walked away said everything his words never could. "Be honest with me. Have you ever been shamed because you didn't have money? Have you ever stood there while someone treated you like you were less than human because they thought they were above you?" Type, "I felt this. If you've ever been humiliated the way I was, if you've ever had family turn your struggles into entertainment. And if you want more stories like this, stories about people who rose after being pushed down, just comment more below. I read everything, every single comment. Your story matters just as much as mine. And hey, if this touched something in you, hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Sometimes the people who doubt you the loudest become the quietest when you prove them wrong.